Hey everyone, this is to all the welfare queens and that think they're queens, but yeah, this is how we stop the welfare abuse because the good people of the United States are sick of it. They're sick of you freeloaders, good for nothings, because you're just a waste of flesh and you're just parasites. I don't even want to compare you to animals because you're worse than that. Animals have a function. Animals are beautiful. You people are just virus parasitic creatures that should have probably never been born. Anyways, the way I would solve the problem of all you fraudulent little idiots, low IQ, waste of breath, is mandatory drug testing randomly. If you're caught on drugs, you get nothing. No smoking. Nothing that is a luxury or anything that you can live without. You will live in barracks, just like the military. If it's good enough for the military, it's damn well good enough for you. You will get fed what you're given, and you will have no choice in the matter. And it will be all healthy items. No chips, no soda. That way we can cut back on all your, medical bills and everything like that for all you obese, just whales. Whales, land whales. That's what you are. And, it would be mandatory birth control also. No children. No children while you are on the system. If you can't feed them, you're not going to breed them. And you're so lucky I am not in charge of this, because it would be like the military. And mandatory community service. You would wait on everybody else hand and foot. Whatever needs to be done in the community. That is, a direct function of society. You're going to be of some use. And then that way, poverty will be a thing of the past, pretty much. I mean, there'll still be some people in poverty, but they're going to be the hardworking people that just fall on hard times or whatever. But it isn't going to be this generational, just sponging off of everybody else that's working and that have worked and are, good for society, unlike you. So yeah, you're just parasites, and I think parasites might even be better than what you are. Because the way you're going on and on and on about how you're going to rob people, you're going to kill people, you're going to, cannibalize white crackers. And if I could say the words that I want to say on these platforms, I would. But then I'll get banned, and then I can't voice my opinion. But you people need to get a life. You need to get an IQ, which will never happen. And it's been generational. And the more you breed and breed, the less IQ you have. Because it's just bad IQ, breeding with bad IQ. And it just gets worse and worse as it goes on. So, yeah. You would not like the system that I have in mind. Not at all. So, everybody that's a decent person on the system, more power to you, really. And I feel for you. But most of you, you don't need it. And I know this for a fact because I have family members and neighbors that are on the system, and they do not need it at all. They're just leeches. Just pure leeches. So get a life, people. Get your shit under control. And stop feeding off of the rest of us. And our hard work. And our dollars that we put into the system that you never put into the system. So go get a life. Bye-bye.
Coming out in the public talking about food stamps and food snaps. Food snaps is okay. There is no problem. Everyone is tied to what they want to say. But coming out in the public and saying that it is better to feed animals than to feed a black person, I really find that problematic. It still baffles my mind that we have people that still think in that line. You know, the last time I checked, it is not only black people that depends on welfare. In fact, majority of white folks depend on, welfare and, the food stamps, the food snaps. Majority, when we try to see the people that are complaining about all this missing, I'm seeing a lot of white people complaining as compared to black people. I mean, we all need some help, and it's okay. But coming out in public and degenerating the names of people that depend on this, it's not like they just want to have these benefits, but there's some reasons, there's structural reasons that are making people to want this help. This white woman has a mentality, a colonizer mentality, where that black people only depended on help. Black people cannot help themselves. And so it's like at the back of her mind, she's trying to think that the best way to wake up a black person is to starve them, to feed an animal rather than feeding a black person. The last time I checked, I don't think any black person has ever knocked her door trying to ask her for food. So I don't know under which circumstances that she's talking about. The statement that it's better to feed animals than black people exposes a deep psychological pathology of dehumanization that lies at the forefront of white supremacy. When a white person can equate or even place animals above black human beings, it is not merely an act of racism. It is a psychological defense mechanism that allows them to justify cruelty and moral detachment. This mindset originates from centuries of conditioning, a need to perceive black people as less than humans so that exploitation, oppression, and exclusion can be rationalized. The white psyche, in this context, maintains its sense of moral innocency by denying black people full humanity. Brothers and sisters, I want you to watch this video. I'll be back and then I'll be sharing my thoughts in regards to this. For those who are watching it for the first time, I'm asking you to please subscribe to the channel, join the membership, and really get to see what I can offer you. For those who are always coming back watching my videos, man, I'm really grateful for the support that you're giving me. I'm gonna be rolling the video. I'll be back and then we'll have a discussion in regards to this. Let's keep watching.
Good for nothings, because you're just a waste of flesh, and you're just parasites.
You need to watch that whole video because it is far worse than what you just witnessed. And if you follow me, you know what comes next. So I did a little digging, but because I like to be 100% sure that I found the right person, I simply asked her. And she was kind enough to confirm making this video. As you can see down here below, Susan seems to think she's being doxxed. So she's trying to rally the troops. Help me get her back. Susan, sweetie, I'm going to need you to look up the definition of doxing. Doxing would entail me releasing your personal information, such as your phone number, your address, your neighbors' names, all of your family members' names, the picture of your house, all of which I have in my possession. And if I were to release any of that information, that, my dear, would be doxing. But public information, that is a horse of a completely different color. Hello, Susan Wendelken. Now, I noticed on your LinkedIn, it says you're a dental office manager for a Dr. Anderson. And from your many aliases, I was able to determine that you're married to someone with the last name of Anderson. Why would one person need so many aliases, Susan? We'll get into that later if I need to. See, by you working in a dental office, that concerned me greatly. Because if you're online spewing this kind of hateful venom, how are you treating the patient? And judging by the review, there seems to be one common denominator. And well, that's you, Susan. They've all come to the conclusion that you are rude and disrespectful. Judging by the behavior that you're exhibiting online, I'm going to have to agree with him, Susan. But what concerns me even more is the fact that that dentist accepts Medicaid and Medicare. And as everyone knows, most people that get Medicaid and Medicare are also on welfare. So it concerns me greatly, Susan. How are you treating those people when you find out that they're receiving Medicaid and Medicare? So I think we should find out. Now, I also found emails linking you to Globetrotter Property. Because it's Saturday, I can't find out just yet how you're affiliated with them. So alas, this will have to be continued Monday. And of course, everyone that follows me, you know I keep a couple aces up my sleeve. You don't just put it all on the table at once.
Hey everyone, this is to all the welfare queens.
Well, a friend alerted me to this specimen tonight, and I'm deeply troubled by what this person would say. And the facts are simple. 70% of welfare recipients, or SNAP recipients, are children, the disabled, the elderly. Of the people that are not, 86% of them work. They can't find a job that will get them out of above the 140th percent, don't quote me on that, poverty level. So they get food from us. And it costs me like $16 a year to pay for their food out of my pocket. And what truly bothers me is that pieces of people like this lady think they are better than children, than the elderly. And they go on this tirade. And what's worse is this thing probably thinks she's a Christian. Yet she's never read the Bible. And she spits in Jesus' face by saying things like this. The problem here is that people like her exist. They preach their hate, their filth, their misinformation. And they feel like they're better than children, that she's happily starving. Children, our grandparents, are disabled, and she's happy. She wants them to work because they get like $180 a month. And people like her are glad to destroy the American dream. They're glad to embrace the corruption that is prevalent in our society at this point. This is what is wrong with America. She would rather consume misinformation and project her hatred on her fellow Americans in order to pacify the oligarchy that has gripped our country by the throat. This is why we need to fight back. This is why we need to resist. And she is exemplary of what we need to resist against. This has to stop. We have to save our country.
And you're just parasites. I don't even want to compare you to animals because you're worse.
Do you know what some fucked up shit is? Is Tartar Sauce Tammy over here is mad because at maybe one point in time she got SNAP benefits and she doesn't get them anymore. The fact that other people, especially minority groups that are seeking help, she's pissed as fuck. And then she wants to talk about people who do not receive, let me say it again, do not receive SNAP benefits, Tartar Sauce Tammy, and claims that they do with no support to back her claim. Because you know Trump supporters, they're always in their fucking feelings. Because Cottage Cheese Kathy can't help the fact that people of color also benefit. And we know she was attacking the black community especially. But what she failed to realize is this right here was not directed towards black people, because I went to that page and that is a black person talking about you. You, Bleach Demon. You do know that you are an accident. Bing, God made. That you're only 8,000 years old and you are dying. You are a fucking dying race. Because God came back for just a moment and said, oh, my fucked up shit's here. I'll let the children deal with the children. Bitch, come get your daughter. Because we're sick and tired of telling you white supremacists that you are fucking dumb. We're sick and tired of telling you, you white supremacists over here, that you are an uneducated fool. This symbol indicates you are related to monkeys, chimpanzees, and apes. Not us. We're almost 300,000 years old, and your bitch asses have been related to these things forever. So Sour Cream Cassie, I really need you to get your shit together and do some more research and not me search. And leave Black, brown, and indigenous people alone. And if somebody from another country comes here and wants to get state benefits, give them the fucking benefits. Because we know you're not a Christian. You will never be and never will. And trust me, honey, when you go meet the maker, your sky daddy, I just want to remind you that you will never see the light of heaven. Amen. But you will see the depths of hell. Enjoy the fucking ride while it's here. Because there is no amount of sorries for you opening your mouth, because God said that's a loose tongue. Will you ever get our forgiveness? So not only take your wreath of a family, because you don't have a fucking tree, but your lice-ridden self, and find a cliff and jump off it. Because at some point, your demise is coming closer every day.
Hey everyone, this is to all the welfare queens and that think they're queens, but yeah, this is how we stop the welfare abuse.
What do you mean by good people? Looks like someone didn't learn their lesson from the Toast Ladies saga.
Because the good people of the United States are sick of it. They're sick of you freeloaders, good for nothings, because you're just a waste of flesh. And you're just parasites. I don't even want to compare you to animals, because you're worse than that.
This is getting dangerously close to dehumanizing racist rhetoric.
Animals have a function. Animals are beautiful. You people are
Notice the use of you people.
just virus, parasitic creatures that should have probably never been born. Anyways, the way I would solve the problem of all you fraudulent little idiots, low IQ, waste of breath,
Sounds like someone's projecting.
is mandatory drug testing randomly. If you're caught on drugs, you get nothing.
And judging by the size of your pupils, you should be first up. Stop trying to rationalize letting people starve. It's not okay. And you're a bitch. Oh yeah, and from the sounds of it, extremely racist. I'm glad you think so, but you should go talk to Shelby. She will confirm for you that I am in fact a pain in the ass for racist white bitches. And not only do I think you're racist and kind of a cunt because you're willing to let people starve, but I guarantee you this shit right here never fucking happened. So you're lying to spread racist tropes.
But yeah, this is how we stop the welfare abuse.
Welfare abuse, really? Because I have a video of 40 white people that were arrested in a welfare fraud scheme. So I don't really know. I know you're talking to black people, so I just want to put that out there. And secondly, if we're working on stereotypes, how are we going to stop you from fucking your brother and having your father's children and letting your husband marry your daughter? See, stereotypes aren't nice and they aren't sweet. Now, you want to run around talking about welfare queens. Are you one? I'd like you to go outside and find one and save this little nonsense to her. But yeah, incestuous hillbilly, two can play that game.
Good for nothings, because you're just a waste of flesh. And
You are a very, very, very dangerous person because you are a violent person. Your heart is full of violence and darkness. I see that. And everybody, and I hope this goes viral, and I hope everybody sees it. I've already told my story about being homeless when I was 18 years old in the 80s in New York City by myself. I guess that the suffering that you have dealt with in your life, instead of taking that suffering and trying to make things better for others, you just hold on to it and make everybody else suffer. I am so tired of you white people. I am so tired of you. I'm tired of myself. Thinking you have all these conveniences and all these things. Maybe you don't have much, maybe you do. I don't know your life. I really don't care, to be honest with you. With that kind of heart that you have. You're a dangerous person. You're a violent person. You are cheering over people starving. How dare you? Clearly, you've never dealt with that. Or if you have, you've hardened your heart to the suffering that you see around you, especially if they don't look like you. And the thing is that, and I hope you go viral, the thing is that there's no way that you can be shamed. You're going to get all these stitches and people saying how they feel and yelling at you, and it will never change you. You will not change. It's very obvious. But from now on, your life is cursed. It is cursed because people will remember your words and they will be held against you. Maybe not in a court of law, but in the court of public opinion. And I am so here for it. I'm so tired of you. I'm tired of people like you. I'm tired of being going through my life and dealing with people like you that I've had to deal with, that have no heart, no empathy, no care, no compassion, no understanding. I am so done with the way we live our lives in this society. I'm so done with people like you having any kind of power. So done. This is the time for anybody else watching this, because I know that most likely you're coming to this in complete outrage, like me. I want you to take this time and remember that this is the time, this is a great time to awaken to the idea of empathy. And on those of you who may be friends with this awful human being, you know better, and she's probably saying all these horrific things. And some of you might hold her to account, and some of you just, I don't know, for whatever reason, just go along to get along. Don't do that anymore. Don't be a bystander. Say something to her. Make her feel it.
Hello brothers and sisters, welcome back to the channel. I'm hoping that you are doing great. Let's theoretically unravel everything that's happening in this video, everything that I think is wrong with what this woman said. First, historically, the type of thinking was cultivated. This type of thinking that this woman has was cultivated during the periods of slave era propaganda, which depicted Africans as lazy, savage, or childlike, unworthy of empathy. Those ideas didn't disappear after emancipation. They were rebranded through stereotypes about welfare, crime, and dependency. The welfare parasite label is a modern translation of the old colonial script. It portrays black people as societal burden while absolving white institutions of responsibility for structural poverty. This psychological mechanism protects the ego of white society, allowing them to enjoy privilege while blaming the oppressed for their condition. Also, psychologically, What this woman has said also reveals a projection. What is she trying to project? The accusation that black people take without giving mirrors the historical realities of what white colonial powers did across Africa and the Americas. Taking land, labor, powers did across Africa and the Americas. Taking land and lives without restitution by projecting greed or dependency onto black people. Some white individuals unconsciously displace their own collective guilt. The statement, better to feed animals, is therefore not about black people's worth, but about the white psyche desperate attempt to deny its own moral corruption by externalizing it onto others. They are trying to project, their immoral attempts to dehumanize human being. That's how they are projecting these, how they feel, and how they see all these things. Another layer is what we call moral inversion, turning the oppressor into the victim. When a white person comes and claims that black people are draining the system, they invert historical truth. The system was built on black labor, exploited for white wealth. Yet the psychological burden of facing that truth is unbearable for those who cling to racial superiority. And so, instead of acknowledging historical theft, they create a false narrative where they are the ones being taken advantage of. It is a form of self-delusion, an emotional defense to preserve a fragile racial identity. Also, this phenomenon also reveals a pathological envy and fear. You know that deep down, many white supremacists fear the resilience, creativity, and cultural strength of black people. Centuries of dehumanization were meant to suppress this fear, to convince themselves that black people could never rise to equality. So when they see black progress, they experience cognitive dissonance. The image of inferior other collides with the evidence of excellence. Instead of confronting this dissonance, they resolve it by resorting to hate speech and degradation, trying to psychologically reset control through verbal violence. From a psychological standpoint, statements like this expose how racism functions as social bonding among some white individuals. By collectively demeaning black people, they reaffirm their belonging to a white in-group. The insult becomes a ritual, a way of reinforcing identity through shared prejudice. Feeding animals becomes symbolic. It is not really about animals, but about reaffirming who is deserving of empathy in their racial hierarchy. Such rhetoric helps sustain white solidarity in a time when racial equality threatens the traditional sense of superiority. Also, another thing to discuss is this also reveals the emotional emptiness within the racial hatred. To view another group as less deserving of food than animal means that one's empathy has been severely damaged. This moral numbness comes from generations of conditioning, where compassion was reserved for those who look like oneself. In this sense, racism not only destroys its victim, it also corrupts the humanity of the perpetrator. A society that teaches one to despise others eventually breeds spiritual decay and emotional sterility within its dominant group. Now, ultimately, the statement reflects a moral and a psychological crisis. in white America. And this is refusal to confront guilt, fear, and historical truth. It shows that racism is not merely ignorance, but a psychological wound, an identity built on denial and dominance. When a person says that it's better to feed animals than black people, they are revealing not black inferiority, but their own spiritual poverty. It is a confession of conscience that has lost its moral compass, a soul seeking a validation in hate because love will require accountability. And that, for many, is the one truth too heavy to bear. So please, brothers and sisters, please let me know what you think and feel about this video. I'm your host and the presenter, Ejitech Stories. But until then, let me see you in my next video. Peace, love, and harmony. Salute.